I think I'll start. VPS, we have come a long way in terms of these voluntary pension schemes. But I think we should appreciate where it started, because first time I ever heard of this voluntary pension schemes, contributory schemes, was from Mr. Naseem Beg in 1998. And then Habibur Rahman Saab played a big role, Shahid Ghaffar Saab. So I think we should appreciate those who started it, 2 decades, 3 decades ago. It took a long time to convince the government on this because, government's retirement schemes were unfunded, and this amount was increasing drastically. So finally, we are happy, that at least the newcomers in the government are coming in these schemes. But I think also the regulator, I think, deserves a lot of credit. The way, from very initial stage where they helped, these regulations to be developed, and even to convince the provincial governments and the federal government that this is the right route, to bring their employees into. So I think the comfort that the government got, federal and provincial, that their employees' retirement should be in these schemes came from the regulator. And I think I remember Chairman Akif Saeed taking a lead in this. And even to convince the Punjab government, we had a seminar in Lahore about a year ago where Chairman Akif Saeed was there the entire day. And we had the government officials from the Punjab government. And we basically informed them, educated them on the schemes. And also the regulator gave them the comfort, that it has the right framework where, the investors, the employees will be protected. So thanks to the regulator and thanks to the visionaries where we stand today. So I'll move on to basically Commissioner Abdul Rahman Warraich. And my question to him, and I guess, considering the time period, what I'll do is just maybe ask one broad question and give 5 minutes to each participant to respond, because we don't have much time to ask too many questions. So both as a consultant, to the KPK government at one stage and then regulator, Abdul Rahman has played a key role in development of these schemes. So Abdul Rahman, what role contributory pension schemes play, especially towards government pensions?
Thank you very much, Dr. Amjad. I have been very privileged to have worked in almost all the sectors and industries which are relevant to pensions. I have been a civil servant, so I have worked for the government as an employee. I have been a fund manager. I have worked in this asset management industry. Then I worked for a government-sponsored pension fund for a few years. Then I had the opportunity to work as a consultant, and I was able to draw on my experience and advise a few governments. And I was really fortunate that they listened to them and accepted many of the recommendations that I made. And finally, I had the privilege to work for Securities and Exchange Commission, so I could look at the role of an independent regulator also. So I, based on my experience, am very convinced that no single employer can manage a pension scheme end-to-end on its own. The governments in Pakistan and in most of the countries around the world have made this mistake of trying to do everything by themselves. The government is the sponsor. The government wants to be the custodian of funds. The government acts as the fund manager also, and then as a guarantor or insurer also. It is itself the auditor, and the entire private sector and the entire sector full of experts and analysts and fund managers and insurers, they are left out of the picture. And the results obviously were not good. after many decades, the government realized that it lacks the resources, it lacks the expertise, it lacks the discipline to manage all aspects of the pension schemes on its own. So I'm really glad and I'm extremely enthusiastic about this reform, because now it seems that the governments have realized the value of collaboration with the private sector. And now they have created a number of stakeholders, and it is in everybody's interest to make these schemes successful. So now you have employees who are putting some of their own money in their pension funds. You have professional fund managers who are managing those monies. You have professional insurance companies which are designing and offering the guarantees that would be needed. You have specialized custodians and trustees who can do the oversight and who can prevent against many unscrupulous things that could happen. You have independent auditors in the private sector whose own reputation is at stake. They have to audit these schemes properly, and the fund managers and the accounts that are being prepared. So there are so many stakeholders, all of whom are working with one objective. So my view is that this scheme, this approach cannot fail. And then there are a number of macroeconomic advantages. The government gets to solve its fiscal challenge, its pension expenditure lowers. The economy grows faster because there is a huge pool of savings which are being invested through the capital markets, and better resource allocation is happening. And then there is a drive to learn more skills. There are more job opportunities in all the related sectors. So I personally think, sir, that it's a win-win situation for everyone. And I think probably Pakistan is a little late, but still it's not too late. And I'm very confident that this contributory schemes will be a big success, and many other countries will hopefully learn from Pakistan's experience and follow the decisions that we have made. Thank you.
Great. So Mashmooma is Chief Executive of Mutual Fund Association for a very long time. So she has seen a lot of this journey of VPS. So Mashmooma, can you just explain us the key features of VPS? And also now, for all the provincial governments and possibly the federal government, the key contact point when they want to, negotiate and deal with asset management companies is Mutual Fund Association. So maybe you can talk a little bit about that as well.
So basically, VPS, I think this would be a recap of what Commissioner Saab shared earlier in the morning. So VPS is a very unique product in the sense that it's portable, it's individualized. So the pension fund account is in your name. Even if you switch jobs or you are self-employed, you can continue to contribute in it. Even if your employer is contributing, you can top up that contribution. And then again, you choose your investments. I think that's the biggest advantage that a VPS account has, is that you can invest based on your needs, your risk tolerance, your return requirements. Whereas in a pooled fund, which was contributory or managed by the trustees, generally they tend to err on the side of caution. So they keep the investments very conservative. So you might be a young person who has just started, who has time on their side, but your investments would be the same as someone nearing their retirement age. So essentially, you either lose out on the growth, on the compounding benefit of equity that it provides, or you're very highly invested in a riskier asset and you lose out on your pensions. So this way, you choose where you invest. You can keep control of it. It's in your name. It's portable. You can take it with you wherever, whenever you want. And then again, there are a lot of tax incentives which are linked to VPS, which are part and parcel, and it's not like it's an advantage that is being given to this product. This is generally how pensions are structured worldwide. So generally, pensions are based on a EET or TEE structure. So at least one end is taxed, other two are exempt. And similar structure exists in Pakistan as well. So when you invest, you get a tax credit of up to 50% of your taxable income. You can always top up more if you want, but that amount is there. Then it's throughout your period of investment, it's tax-free, so there's no tax on it. When you withdraw, again, up to 50% of your amount is withdrawn lump sum as tax-free. The remaining then goes into either an income payment plan or an annuity. And then you get monthly pensions out of it. So obviously, I think because of that, there's also a need for this. VPS is generally a minimum of 25 years product. So you need consistency in the policies and in the structure that is there, because someone who's invested today cannot have the goalpost changing near their retirement. So that is something I think our policymakers, that we as MUFAP, as SEC, we are taking up continuously with the policymakers, that once this product is there, leave it as it is. Don't touch into it. These tax are not really any benefit that you're giving or an advantage. It's a part of that structure. And at MUFAP, as Dr. Saab mentioned, so we're basically, we've been here for the past 24 years now. So we were primarily set up as an association. Now we are also a self-regulatory organization. So we represent the pension fund industry as well as the mutual fund industry. So we're the collective voice for all of them. So yes, so we've actually been involved with the reform processes that the Commissioner Saab just mentioned with the various governments. So we've already successfully launched KP's employer funds. We've just finalized Punjab. They're about to be launched from, in fact, they were supposed to be launched this week. We've just signed agreements last week with Balochistan. We're in the final stages with Sindh. And we're also in discussions with federal. So all these provinces are coming in, obviously, because they feel the advantage. They've been on a defined benefit, but more than defined benefit structure, what the issue was that they were non-contributory. So they didn't have the funding to maintain those benefits, which is why they're now shifting to a contributory scheme, which is, I think, the need of the day.
Thank you, Mashmooma. So Shoaib is Chief Executive of State Life. And as a thorough professional in the last 3-4 years, he has really turned around the organization. I think it should be a case study for LUMS or IBU to look at, and how, it's not easy to turn around a government organization. And he's done a great job there. So Shoaib, retirees from VPS typically opt for income payment plans rather than going for annuities. So, where they can sort of cover their longevity risk. So what are the challenges in terms of development of annuity products? And, what do you see as solutions or recommendations to address this issue?
Right. So thank you, Dr. Saab. All right, so the challenges, well, first and foremost, yes, annuity products do exist, but are they viable? Are they more attractive or not is the question. So to answer your question first is to understand what the VPS product actually means. A lot of focus when we talk about VPS is on the fund accumulation side. That is till the day of retirement. But as your master of ceremony spoke earlier, and she stated that the purpose or the meaning of pension is dignity in retirement. And I think that is a very important phrase used, and it is exceptionally important. Dignity in retirement means retirement through your life cycle, through your lifetime post-retirement. And the development of value-adding products or annuity products that meet that requirement is essential. Now, where do we come into our current marketplace? So yes, as Commissioner Warraich has pointed out, that this product has been in development for many years. 30, 40 years ago, there was no annuity market in Pakistan. And the key for that is to develop an annuity product, a company needs to hold significant risk capital in order to manage unforeseeable risk. So if somebody goes on, and by unforeseeable risk, we basically mean longevity risk, because that's what you're covering for. Now, to cover that, you need risk capital, you need actuarial skill sets, And you also need to have the risk appetite to take that challenge on. Unfortunately, within Pakistan, that market has taken a little while to develop. One of the key areas is because this is by nature a long-term product, significant amount of capital needs to be set up first to meet that. SECP has addressed that to their credit, that they have looked at insurance companies and they have asked insurance companies to increase their risk capital levels, and that is a good thing, I believe, because then that means that more innovative products can be developed. Now, having said that, we at State Life, and I do know some other companies, do have annuity products in the market. And in fact, we at State Life have also submitted for approval to SECP. I think it's going to be Pakistan's first genuine takaful Sharia compliant annuity product as well, in order to address all of that. And I think that is critical as the market develops, and as we all know, there is a Sharia compliance move. But I'll borrow another phrase from Commissioner Warraich. The key over here is collaboration. The collaboration has to be established between the asset management companies and the insurance companies. They have to see each other as two sides of the same coin. And maybe MUFAP can help us on that. But the two sides are that the asset management companies, definitely they are the fund managers up to the vesting point. And that's where they manage it, that's all well. Post that, it is not the risks, it is not the skill set or what they've built up these companies to do is to provide longevity risk. In order to provide that, they have to partner with insurance companies. And insurance companies then have to enter this market, provide feasible value-adding products to the market so that it is, retiree actually sees some income coming out of that too. So I think this collaboration is the next step. It is let's just say it's the missing link. While we have developed products, I think we've always reached out to even your NPP asset management, we have reached out, that it is not appropriate. And I think last point that I'll make on this is that we have to see this as a social responsibility. When you're talking about retirement, if we compare to the current product or income drawdown product available, that provides income for 10 or 15 years, which means if an individual retires at age 60, they'll have an income till maybe age 70 or age 75, and then it's exhausted. With the increasing life expectancy, especially across the middle class, the working class people, what you're actually foreseeing in about 5 to 10 years' time is at the age of 75, people they've led a healthy life till age 70 or 75. Age 75 is where the income needs actually kicks in, where the health need comes in, where the health bills are higher. Generally, in our society, it's a 5-year age gap between married couples. If a man is 75, the spouses are below 70. And at that point, if your income drawdown is exhausted, then you're leaving this individual high and dry when the real need for a dignified retirement income kicks in. To circumvent that, you need proper annuity products that provide a lifetime annuity, insurance companies that willingly take on the risk associated with it and price it appropriately, and for the asset management industry and the insurance industry to come together to really market and create awareness around this, that how important it is to meet this market gap with proper annuity products, because otherwise the risk that you're really running is, like you have currently in the defined benefit pension schemes, a huge funding deficit. Even if you move towards defined contribution but you don't have the right annuity product, then 10 years from now, you'll have an aging population with no income, and the entire bill will fall to the government again. So actually, we wouldn't have solved any issues. We would not have solved the real problem. No. So while we've taken a great step and initiative with VPS, the journey is only going to be completed if we combine that with the proper annuity product that provides a lifetime income.
Yeah. So I think in some countries, there's a mandatory requirement that a certain percentage of the retiring funds should go into an annuity. And also, I think the need of long-term instruments, maybe 10-year, 15-year, 20-year bonds, I think is also there, which
I think currently the government is doing well. They have issued zero coupon 15-year bonds. They are looking at zero coupon 20-year bonds. So this market is developing, and I think it goes hand in hand. And yes, there is a requirement in the insurance industry as well to step up with the right development of products too.
So moving to Ashab. Ashab is CEO of Punjab Pensions. Comes with a great background. He basically has worked for 25 years in the Middle East and the European markets. He has worked for HSBC Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, American Express, Lehman Brothers. So comes with a lot of experience, and also adjunct faculty member at LUMS. So as a question to you, this Punjab government movement from defined benefits to defined contributions, how do you see this transition, and how do you think it will benefit the government and the employees also?
Thank you, Dr. Amjad, for a very kind introduction. The transition for at least the Punjab government is an aggregation of everything that is happening within the departments, an aggregation of what's happening at SECP, an aggregation of what's happening at CDC. But let me give you a background of the transition first. The Punjab government has moved from the defined benefit to the defined contribution pension scheme. Now, this defined contribution pension scheme has been put in play for people that have been hired post-Jan 2024. Post-Jan 2024 till date, we've been working on setting up a system which funds, manages, and does all the operational aspects of a defined contribution system. Why did we come to the defined contribution system in the first place? Is because, globally, institutions, governments are moving away from the defined benefit scheme to the defined contribution scheme, because a defined benefit scheme, essentially, depending on which actuarial method you look at it, is a question about how long is a piece of string. It's not necessarily quantifiable or controllable as a liability. The Punjab government has gone from a defined benefit scheme to a defined contribution scheme. It's not just beneficial for the fiscal expenses of the Punjab government. It's also very beneficial for the employees of the Punjab government. For instance, if you were part of the defined benefit plan, you have to be serving for 25 years for your pension accruals to kick in. This, on the other hand, from day one, you start day one, 6 months later, 1 year later, you decide to go private sector, you decide to do your own thing. Whatever you've contributed to your pension scheme or end of service scheme is actually going to be paid to you. First thing. The other thing is that the defined benefit scheme was money run by the Punjab government, invested by the Punjab government in order to meet the liabilities of the pensioners as they were at any given point in time. In this, the pensioners themselves have the ability to choose who they wish for them to manage their accounts. You might wish to go with any of the 15 asset managers that are already on board. I came in a month and a half after this thing was completely put in motion, and our deadline was end of October to get the entire system up and running. The entire system, fingers crossed, is up and running. The triggers are getting pulled now, and we're going to see we're going to see how accurately we get to our targets. You were talking about how has the transition been? There are two things about this transition. One is a personal transition. I've come from I'm sorry, I have to use from more developed markets to what is essentially a developing market. I don't even like calling Pakistan a frontier market. There's something very so Pakistan is to me a developing market regardless of the classification. What to me was a very, very pleasant surprise was that I came over here with my experiences of having worked with regulators, of having worked with system aggregators, process aggregators, and I was here all ready to take on whatever fight I had to take on. But to my utter surprise and utter pleasant surprise, be it SECP, be it CDC, be it MUFAP, they acted as they were also key stakeholders in the whole process. So this immense system of getting all of Punjab government employees on board, the systems integrated, educating the employees. We also had very, very good cooperation from employee representatives who we've trained in order for them to train employees a step lower about the benefits of defined contribution versus the benefits of the defined benefit scheme. I mean, both have their pros and cons, and you can choose which one you think is better. But the common wisdom now is that defined contribution is a more sustainable and a more quantifiable system. So my experience has been challenging, but very, 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 very positively challenging. That's been my experience of working with the Punjab government and the key stakeholders in the system.
Just a quick follow-up question. At the initial stage, you are not allowing equity investment to your employees.
Correct, sir.
How do you see that, and maybe going forward, how that might change?
I'll tell you, sir. If I mean you're in the industry as well. Like for instance, tomorrow, if today I am to set up a pension asset management company, if I were to take money from pensioners, put it to be for it to accrue returns, for the first 3 to 5 years, 3 at least, 5 to 7 tops, you would not invest in equities just because of the volatility of the underlying instrument. I don't want to have pensioner money, or I don't want pensioners to have invested money in a scheme where 2 years later, if they want to transfer it to somebody else, as this is transferable, if they want to transfer it to somebody else, they realize that they invested 100,000 rupees and they're transferring 72,000. I mean, that's a fight we don't have to fight. I mean, that is unfortunately common wisdom that we have had to impose on the system. That's why we're not allowing for equities. Equities eventually will come onto the platform. You will have funds from, you will have Sharia compliant and normal equity funds from asset managers that will come on your platform as a pensioner once you cross that threshold of 3 years or 5 years.
Sounds good. So Nauman Liaqat is a senior advisor to United Nations on pension reforms. He has worked very closely on this VPS with KPK government, Sindh government, Punjab government, federal government. So comes with a lot of experience background. So Nauman, how do you see basically what were the key issues with the old pension scheme, and why VPS is the best option where you're advising all these provinces and the federal government to move towards VPS?
Thank you very much, Dr. Saab. Actually, all of these governments that I've worked with, they were operating a very similar defined benefit pension scheme model. And the model itself was built for an era that no longer exists. So we were constantly running into the same underlying fault lines of the old pension system. The pay-as-you-go model was continuously expanding. The fiscal space was continuously shrinking because of the improvement in life expectancy, because of generous increases in pensions awarded by governments over the years. the defined benefit pension scheme model was no longer sustainable. And practically, governments were making pension promises to their employees, which their future budgets would not have been able to support. So, another very important challenge that sat in the background, and I'd like to talk a little more about it, was that governments around the world, they tend to struggle with exposures that are off the balance sheet. They are invisible until they are not. So Pakistan's governments were no exception. And anything that requires disciplined provisioning, long-term planning, be it pensions or public guarantees, they tend to get pushed down the road quite often in the government. It is the pressure of the day-to-day governance that leaves very little oxygen for long-term planning and for future obligations. So I think these were the common issues across all of the governments. And also another important thing was that there was a lack of transparency regarding the true life cycle cost of an employee to the government. And also the total pension expenditure, the total pension liability was also not very visible. So what made the reform very unavoidable was the same thing, actually. The numbers and the arithmetic behind the pensions, they were just mind-boggling. Pension expenditures, pension liabilities were doubling every 4 to 5 years, and the future projections were even more concerning. So once the realization kicked in for the governments, it was only a matter of time that this was no longer a policy preference. In fact, it was a fiscal survival strategy, I would say. Coming to the second part of your question, sir, why VPS was the most viable option? Well, there was no point in reinventing the wheel. VPS was a regulated product, a market-tested product, built on principles of transparency, investment governance, with long-term savings built into its DNA. So governments did not find that there was any need to reinvent the wheel. And also, it offers something that my fellow panelists have also rightly pointed out. It also offers something that the employees in the traditional DB pension schemes never had. That is the portability. And they practically own their retirement savings now. So this was something that was completely absent in the previous schemes. So I think a combination of employee empowerment and fiscal prudence that led to the VPS being a common landing point for all of the governments. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the audience? We can take maybe 1 or 2 questions before we close it.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम, मेरा नाम शाहान कमर है। अच्छा, मैं ये पूछना चाह रहा था कि आज हमारे यहाँ पेंशन्स के हवाले से काफ़ी लोगों के जहन में ये ख्याल आते हैं कि अब पेंशन में जो रिफॉर्म्स आ रहे हैं, इसकी वजह से उनकी इनकम जो मंथली आती है वो कहीं ख़त्म तो नहीं हो जाएगी, या क्या होगा इसके बाद जो भी हमारे रिफॉर्म्स हैं, क्या वो पेंशन आती रहेगी या इसी पे अमाउंट को ये कहीं इन्वेस्ट करा के वो जो हमारे ओल्ड मतलब बुज़ुर्ग लोग हैं जो सिर्फ इसी पे डिपेंडेंट करते हैं, तो उनकी गुज़र बसर कैसे होगी? थैंक यू।
Thank you so much. It's a very important question जो आपने ask किया है, and that is the real point that I was trying to make कि the two VPS जो concept है, इसके 2 components हैं. एक है accumulation of fund, that is till the retirement age, कि आप खुद contribute कर रहे हैं या आपके employer contribute कर रहे हैं up to the age of 60. But after that, it needs to get converted to a income, retirement income. And जो अमजद साहब जो मैं बात कर रहे थे वो ये कर रहे थे कि it is very important कि ये income drawdown plan ना हो जो 10 साल बाद ख़त्म हो जाए. It has to be converted to a lifetime income annuity. कि यानी कि अगर बंदा 120 साल तक भी जिए, if the person is alive till 120 years, then it is the responsibility of the insurance company to ensure the retirement income till the person is alive. Do you understand that? So अगर आप लोग it is in your interest, तो आपको लगेगा भी नहीं शायद, but it is very important that if you invest in VPS, जब it comes to converting it into an income, you opt for a lifetime annuity through an insurance company, And hence, it is exceptionally important for insurance industry, like you stated, to develop these products. And of course, there could be some regulation or engagement with the regulator that a certain proportion of जो आपका fund accumulate होता है, उसमें compulsory हो कि maybe 50% or so has to be converted into lifetime income to provide that guarantee and certainty जिसकी आप बात कर रहे हैं.
और शोएब साहब ने जो बात की, द पॉइंट इज़ कि जब आप रिटायर होते हैं तो आप दो तरह इसको कर सकते हैं. एक तो आप एक प्रोडक्ट ले सकते हैं जो कि आपका 20 साल बाद 25 साल बाद ख़त्म हो जाएगा. दूसरा, एज शोएब साहब वाज सेइंग, there will be insurance companies, there will be asset managers in collaboration with insurance companies out there जो आपको ये ऑप्शन दे सकेंगी कि बजाय इसके कि आप खाली अपना डिफाइंड कंट्रीब्यूशन वाला प्लान लें जो कि 75-80 पे ख़त्म हो जाता है, उसके बजाय आप वही जो आपने अक्यूमुलेट किया हुआ है फ़ंड वो आप इंश्योरेंस कंपनी को दे दें या एक ऐसे एसेट मैनेजर को दे दें जिसकी कोलैबोरेशन हो इंश्योरेंस कंपनी के साथ, ताकि वो आपको इनकम देते रहें टिल फॉर एज लॉन्ग एज यू सर्वाइव और फॉर एज लॉन्ग एज योर स्पाउस सर्वाइव्स. जिस तरह शोएब साहब कह रहे हैं, इस एक तो इनका है और दूसरा ये है कि दिस ब्रिंग्स टू चॉइसेस टू द मेन्यू कार्ड फॉर द रिटायरिंग पर्सन. ये कि वो देखना चाहता है कि वो कहाँ इन्वेस्ट करना चाहते हैं, वो खुद इन्वेस्ट करेगा, अपने एसेट मैनेजर के साथ इन्वेस्ट करेगा. दूसरा ये हो सकता है कि वो किसी इंश्योरेंस कंपनी को जो कोलैबोरेशन में है एसेट मैनेजर के साथ दे पैसा और डोमेंट बैठ जाए, उसको ये एश्योरेंस होगी कि इतनी इनकम मुझे टिल द एंड ऑफ टाइम आती रहेगी. सो दिस ब्रिंग्स an option to all pensioners going forward.
Thank you very much.
Great.
There's one more question there. Let's take it as the last question.
So just a short question. When we invest in a pension fund, we get a tax credit, the salary clause. Why not in a life insurance? Why don't we get tax credit over there?
No, I'm just laughing because even after
ये plot किया हुआ question है ये शोएब ने.
No, देखो यार, you're absolutely right. This should happen, and you got Aqif Saab here. Me and him have discussed this many a times. We've taken proposals together to the finance ministry as well. The fact of the matter is, such a credit used to exist even with mutual funds, and even with MUFAP, myself, Commissioner Warraich, we've also looked at combined proposals with the finance ministry. It should exist. It does exist across the world in most countries, developed or developing. It definitely should exist. And actually, given the state of our society, just CEO MUFAP was saying, it's not a tax credit on BPS. It's an integral part of the product itself. And there's value to the end consumer. Similarly, and actually it's not just value to the end consumer, it's value to the wider society, wider economic society. And similarly, in the life insurance product, should it brought in, we are fully in support of it. I know even the regulators fully in support of it. What it does is it encourages a savings culture in the country, be it through VPS or life insurance products. Once you have a sound savings culture in the country, that becomes your bedrock or your foundation for economic growth and GDP growth. So it is an essential part that should be encouraged. We're continuously engaged with it. If you have a forum, we'll say you join us and let's lobby for it together.
जी बिल्कुल, ये टैक्स बेनिफिट होना चाहिए फॉर इंश्योरेंस. सो आई थिंक विद दिस VPS स्कीम्स आई एम वेरी कॉन्फिडेंट कि जिस तरह दुनिया में हुआ है इन द नेक्स्ट 10-15 years यहाँ पे जो ग्रेचुटी फंड्स हैं और प्रोविडेंट फंड्स हैं वो शायद ख़त्म हो जाएंगे एंड एवरीथिंग विल मूव टुवर्ड्स VPS ऑन द गवर्नमेंट साइड एंड ऑन द कॉर्पोरेट साइड. इसको जो बेनिफिट्स हैं, जो एम्प्लॉई एम्पावरमेंट है, पोर्टेबिलिटी है कि एम्प्लॉई खुद अपने लिए डिसाइड कर सकता है उसने कहाँ इन्वेस्ट करना है, तो इसके बहुत से बेनिफिट हैं. इसलिए सारी दुनिया में ये स्कीम्स बहुत कामयाब हैं. अगेन थैंक यू वेरी मच टू द पार्टिसिपेंट्स, टू द ऑडियंस, and especially to SECP to arrange such a seminar where we can all sit and discuss and look for the way forward. So thank you.